Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified. We are in the regular season, but always playoff mode. And I got my War Dogs with me tonight as we're getting ready for this 49ers game. Eric, what's happening, man?
I'm doing all right. I can't talk, but I'm doing all right. Ready for San Fran.
Eric threw his voice. He lost his voice screaming at the TV
Screaming at the
about that Giants game, but he is going to power through it tonight with us. Brian, what's shaking, man?
I'm with Eric. He was screaming at the TV, just like all of us. Run the football, but I feel good. We got a lot of things to talk about tonight.
Absolutely, and we are going to focus on our matchup with the 49ers. But before we do, Eric, any thoughts coming out of the Giants game? Just a summary of sort of that game to you.
Oh man, so many as Ron would say, missed opportunities. You know, I'm done complaining about the officiating. Obviously, there were some, we lost by 8 and we had 8 points taken off the board by penalties, which sucks. But, Taylor didn't, I think Taylor played a Taylor Heineke game. It just didn't work out for us in the end. He didn't really do anything different than he normally does. He was right there in the end with a chance. It just didn't work out this time around. So I do think his leash is going to be short going into next week. We'll see what happens. But it was a crappy loss. It stinks, but we got to move on.
Yes, indeed. Brian, any thoughts on that Giants game you want to pass off?
Yeah, that was the Commanders that we've seen all of 2021, or that we saw the first part of this year. I thought we were past that point. Maybe not necessarily that we've grown light years or anything like that, but that was very disturbing to see kind of the self-inflicted wounds, the penalties, the missed opportunities. We had a perfect opportunity to control our own destiny, and we squandered it. The refs, missing those calls, that sucks. But it shouldn't have come down to the refs. We let the refs get involved because we could not score points. And that's that was real tough to see. But now we'll find out, if that was a one-off or if this team has really, made strides, because there's no margin for error. There's none at all. If you want to have a shot, you've got to win this game. So we'll see what happens this week.
Yeah. You said it well, and so did Eric. This was a game where I think most of the players played about what you would expect them to do. The Giants didn't have this offensive explosion against us. The defense gave up 13 points. We've got to find a way to manufacture more points out of our offense, in particular when we're in the red zone. We keep beating this horse. The reverse to Diami on second down in the on the 10 or 11 yard line, the 8-yard line. It was luckily the Giants called a timeout, but that play was going to go for a 3-yard loss. It was like, why are we doing this in the red zone? Let's use our horses the way that they're intended to be used, and let's make something happen. Don't be afraid to run the ball. As a matter of fact, we got this clip from Scott Turner, and he was asked about Brian Robinson and his lack of usage in certain situations that we want to share with you guys so you guys can hear what he had to say. I'm going to play that now. Bear with our audio guy. He's a bit of a jerk.
Obviously, there's more opportunities to hand it off, but again, I got to be aware of that and get him some carries.
Brian, when you hear that from the offensive coordinator, what comes to mind?
Well, the first thing is, I don't know if the people listening or watching can hear or feel it or see it, but my blood is boiling listening to that comment, because right there you hear Scott Turner say, "Oh yeah, I've got to give him some more carries," like he just forgot. Like he went to the grocery store and was supposed to pick up milk and he just forgot the milk. No, this is a large part of your offense right now is the run game. We've played 14 games. Don't tell me you forgot to hand it off to your running back who, with Robinson, Gibson, and Jonathan Williams have helped to carry this team to these victories that we've had here late in the season. It's very frustrating. What it tells me about Scott Turner is that, I think it's something we've been talking about on this pod here for a while now, is that he is concerned with his plays, not necessarily what's best for the team, not what the players can do well or what's called for in that situation. He just wants to run his plays. And, you saw those forced carries to Curtis Samuel. Each one was like a 4-yard loss for Samuel. I think one of them he gained like 3 yards, but it was a third down run where you needed a big physical back, and they give it to Curtis Samuel. So very frustrating. But also how freely he spoke of it also tells me he's not afraid of any kind of consequence or repercussion. He can continue to run the offense however he sees fits, even if it's to the detriment of the team.
Yeah, there really just isn't a plan for even player usage. It's like, Gibson will be out there for a play. You won't see him for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson will be off the field for 2 consecutive drives, even though he's averaged 7 yards a carry. Dami Brown just makes random appearances, and they target him when he's in the game. He had they are using him, and I like Dami, but for some very impactful moments without letting him get into the flow of the game whatsoever. He's just coming off the bench cold, and it's like, we're going to you right now, and we need to convert this third down, or we're going to throw it to you in the red zone. It's really random, and I think they need to be a bit more strategic. Speaking of strategy, paying your bills in life is a good thing, and we are going to attempt to pay ours by hitting off the sponsors. So, Eric, take it away.
We are going to attempt. All right. The wait is over, my friends. DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbooks apps, is officially live in Maryland. Now you can legally bet on all your favorite sports with DraftKings anytime, anywhere from Brian's house in Maryland. For a limited time, new customers who sign up with promo code CDP11 will receive $200 in free bets instantly. We can parlay this week how short Taylor Heineke's leash is, along with how many excuses Scott Turner makes for not running the ball. Any kind of parlay you can imagine, it's all right there at DraftKings. And DraftKings has the best features, including same-game parlays, unlimited player props, and more with fast, easy payouts right at your fingertips. DraftKings Sportsbook, it's where to go for all of your sports betting needs. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code CDP11. Get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on anything, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code CDP11. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Maryland. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus issued as free bet. See DraftKings.com/MD for full terms and conditions.
You know what? This is like your Jordan flu game, man.
Ooh,
That
was strong.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was strong.
Yeah, man.
That must be what it is.
By the way, if you're watching us on YouTube, hello, subscribe. If you're listening to us on audio, please subscribe. But you will notice we all have these amazing Commanders Declassified podcast hoodies.
Awesome.
Eric got these for us for our holiday gift because he is the man. He is the man.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I got to have you guys looking fly. I can't be the only one with swag on this podcast.
You got it, man. So look, we are heading into a game against San Francisco. I like San Francisco better when they played at a place called Candlestick. There was a lot of just aura there. I don't even know what their stadium is now. It's like Levi Stadium or something like that. I forget who the sponsor is, but
it's like 70 miles from San Francisco.
Yeah.
So far, it's like an hour away.
Yeah. But, look, San Francisco presents a very unique challenge because to me, they are like the Giants on steroids, basically. Offensively, anyway. Defensively, they are just a whole other dimension from where all the teams that we played this year are. Eric, I know you're under the weather vocally, but just give me your quick thoughts on sort of what comes to mind when you think about playing this Giants defense.
The 49ers defense?
Did I say the Giants?
Yeah,
I meant the 49ers.
I'm sick of looking at the Giants. Played them 2 weeks in a row. I don't need to deal with them anymore. Look, the 49ers defense is scary. They're really good at everything. They fly around. They hit hard. Their linebackers are unbelievable. And their defensive front is stout as always. They know what they're doing in the secondary. It's just an outstanding, well-coached defense. They're not crazy. They're not like heavy blitzers. They just do their job, and they do it really well. So you really have to play an outstanding offensive game to do that. But that said, a strong running game is the remedy to a great defense. It's going to be tough sledding. He's not, Brian Robinson's not going to be getting 7 yards a carry like he was mowing through the Giants. But this is one of those games similar to what Tampa had last year, where if you can churn out 3-4 yards a carry and just do it consistently and keep the running game there and sprinkle in passes when you absolutely have to, that's the formula to beat this defense. Just stay on the field, stay ahead of the chains, and just hope for the best against them. Because it's an outstanding defense. It's by far the best defense in the league, better than obviously anything that we have played this year, and one of the few defenses that I would take currently over our defense. I think their linebackers are unbelievable. They're the best linebacking group in the league. They're fantastic, and put that behind that great defensive line that they have, and it's really scary defense. But the opportunity will be there, but you have to play a flawless game to have success against this defense.
Yeah, and they create turnovers, which is always key. And you said it, man. They bring the lumber when they hit you. So ball security, ball security, ball security. The thing that I'm ultimately afraid of is if we get down a little bit and this defense can pin its ears back and just come after us. You saw the Giants do that with Wink Martindale. They said, screw everything else. We're coming for your lunch money. And it worked by and large. It confused our offensive line. We weren't sliding our protections. We weren't picking up free blitzers and all that stuff. The 49ers were watching that tape, salivating, thinking what they could do. The Giants don't even have really great linebackers. To Derek's point, the 49ers absolutely do. And they can beat you with their front pass rush, too. Oh, and by the way, there's this dude named Bosa for the Giants. I mean, God, why do I keep saying the Giants? For the Niners, that is, if you thought Kayvon Thibodeau was great, this Bosa cat's a whole other level of greatness. So he's going to give us a lot of issues. One thing I've heard
one thing I'll say about the one chance we have against Bosa is that he's not a rookie, because rookie edge rushers have destroyed us all year. So Bosa, I think we can handle, because he's like a fourth-year guy.
Yeah, no sweat, right?
Yeah.
One thing I've heard Heineke say repeatedly this week through various mediums, I heard it on John Keim's podcast. I saw him himself say it on social media. He said he's banged up. He said he's really hurting right now. That doesn't bode well for what the 49ers are going to try to do to us. Brian, speaking of that, how do you think the 49ers are going to attack us defensively?
Oh, it's going to be an extremely physical game. The 49ers don't need to blitz a whole lot to generate a whole lot of pressure. Their front four gets after the quarterback as about as well as anybody in the NFL, to the tune of their defensive tackle, Eric Armstead, and, of course, Bosa. Those guys can pressure the quarterback really from any point on the field. They'll move Bosa around as well, too, to get the best matchup for him. But that front four alone, they can get pressure. Now, their linebackers, they've got two linebackers, one who's probably the best middle linebacker in the NFL, Fred Warner. There's not anything he can't do. He can shut down the run game. He can drop back into coverage, intercept a pass, and then he can take it to the distance to all the way for a touchdown. So we have to be aware of where all of these guys are. Eric Armstead, Bosa, Fred Warner, also another young linebacker, Dre Greenlaw. We've seen him come on in the last several weeks with some interceptions. I think he got one against Tom Brady the other day as well, too. So they have a extremely aggressive and hard-hitting front seven, but they're also very disciplined. When you watch this 49er defense, you don't see a lot of missed tackles. You don't see a lot of missed assignments. You don't see a lot of open guys. You also don't see a lot of very big plays by the opposing team. So this is going to be a tough one for us. They're going to put a lot of pressure on us coverage-wise. They are going to put pressure on our receivers. They're going to play tight coverage on them. They're not going to give these guys cushions. They like to play physical. They like to bump the receivers, try to get them off their routes, get them off their timing. So it's going to be a tough game all the way around. They're going to try to do that, and they're going to try to hit Heineke as many times as they can. And, if I'm the 49ers defense, I'm like, I'm trying to hit Heineke so they can bring in the backup, because if they bring in Carson, who's not going to be as mobile, I think that's their goal, right? They just want to keep hitting the quarterback, because that's what they've been doing well over these last several games.
They have a safety and I'm going to butcher this name, but
Talanoa
Hufanga. Okay, that dude. Every time I see him on TV, he's flying around, and I don't want to make the obvious comparison of Troy Polamalu, but that's just kind of what I see a little bit out of him when he plays, and the way that he sort of moves around on the field, and the way that he's everywhere. It's insanity, and I don't even know from an advanced metric perspective if he's even that great. I just know he's everywhere, and I like to see that as a fan of football. Brian, have you watched any of him? And
yeah,
what are your early thoughts?
Here is something. So he was drafted in the same draft as Derek Forrest. Hufanga was a guy who I thought would be good for us because of what you just said, Ellie. His explosiveness. Traditionally, he's been a strong safety, but he's a guy with that explosiveness. He can play free safety. He can be in the deep center of the field and break on the football on the sideline and break up a play. I want to say Derek Forrest was the 163rd pick, which is early in the first round, I think. And Hufanga was like the 180th pick, both in the 5th round, both strong safety types. But if you look at them, both very explosive players. They have this burst where when they identify where the football is, they can close on it quickly. So you're absolutely right. Hufanga is really, really good. And, you know, the 49ers just have so many good players. They have good corners. They've got good safeties, linebackers, defensive linemen. There's not really a weak spot in that defense. You can't really say, I'm going to pick on this defensive end. No, they're all good. Their corners, same thing. So Hufanga's, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I just love watching guys like that. And I love that you tied in Derek Forrest into that, because definitely some similarities there. Hey, Eric, as usual, I'm going to ask you to put on your Scott Turner hat, and no, not the real Scott Turner, because we know what he'd do. If you were Scott Turner, how would you approach this game offensively?
Yeah, I would. I mean, this defense, I said it before, you have to play perfectly, but I would approach it almost like the Giants approached it with us last week, is to get the ball, when you have to throw, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly. And go north-south. This has to be a north-south week. We cannot run those dumbass reverses. They are not going to work this week. The 49ers are too fast. They're too disciplined. Their defense is too good. They're not going to get fooled by jet sweeps like 4 times a game. You know, a jet sweep can work every once in a while, sure, but this defense and our offensive line isn't good enough to hold up to handle that type of misdirection. And it's really going to be really frustrating if they try to do that, which I know they will. I don't think they should be running Curtis Samuel 6 or 7 times, sneaking a carry to him just to keep things interesting. But you can't rely on trickery and misdirection against this defense. They're too disciplined and they're too good. The only chance you have is to run straight at them, just hammer away at that defense, and don't get penalties. I mean, you can control it, but it's one of those things, you know, based on last week, maybe you can't control it. You know, it's you have to stay ahead of the chains this week. You can't get into 2nd and 15 or, you know, 3rd and 12 that you're not gonna last this defense. You've got to get into 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, and you've got to convert. Play the time of possession game. That's the way you're going to win. Get back to that. We got away from that last week against the Giants, where Scott Turner just, you know, they were blitzing Taylor Heineke and the line wasn't holding up and he wasn't playing well, but they kept trying to throw it when Brian Robinson was getting 7 yards a carry. You have to, if you're getting 7 yards a carry, you have to keep running the ball. You have to be disciplined and you have to attack. You know, you have to hit. Yeah, it's a hit him in the mouth game. You have to go straight at this defense and hope for the best.
Yeah. Stay out of obvious passing downs, please.
No 7-step drops this week either.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Don't do it. But you're gonna, because you know what we have on offense. You know what we do.
Yeah.
I've got a revolutionary idea here for Scott Turner. If there's a play that works, try it again. And if it works, maybe try it one more time after that if it works again. But please, don't. If something works, don't go away from it. Keep doing it until they make you go away from it.
What if he tries it again, but with Curtis Samuel?
We'll pass. You know, the Giants and Brian Daboll did that during the game. They ran, I think, 4 plays for the majority of the game. Literally 4 plays. And they were the same exact plays. They didn't disguise it. It was the same thing. And they weren't embarrassed or didn't feel like a lesser coordinator because they didn't run this myriad of plays. They ran what they knew we couldn't stop, the quick little curl route to the receivers. They ran the quick, out route, the little out of the backfield route to Saquon. And then they ran that tight end on a crosser across the middle. That was it. And they would sprinkle in things occasionally to kind of mix it up to keep you off balance. But that was the majority of what they do. If you look at the Miami Dolphins and all the offensive success that they're having, essentially everything that they run are 2 seam routes with their wide receivers, and Tua picks which seam route is open. They do that seemingly 80% of the time. You don't have to be as creative and as complex as you used to in the NFL to be successful, especially with the upward movement of college offenses and college concepts into the NFL now. You can be simple and be effective. Just be great at what you are trying to do and be consistent. All right, so the 49ers offensively are led by Christian McCaffrey. And I'm going to tell you today that Christian McCaffrey is 75% of their offense, period. Now, we had some discussion before we started recording whether or not we felt that McCaffrey would play or get his typical workload because the Niners have the division locked up and the issues they've had with health recently with Garoppolo, with Debo, etc. They can't afford another loss to really be effective. My feeling is they're going to play everybody as normal because I think Shanahan sees it as I can just plug the next running back in and we'll be just fine. I don't know. However, Brian, what are your thoughts on stopping McCaffrey this week?
I think it's paramount. Typical Shanahan style offense, right? It's all based around their zone run scheme, right? If you can shut that down, you shut down their play action, you shut down a lot of, what they want to do offensively. And right now, with a, Brock Purdy as their quarterback, they're limited in the pass game, right? They don't have Debo Samuel. He is out with injury. It is McCaffrey running, McCaffrey throwing, and George Kittle throwing. So they're very limited with kind of some of the options. So everything is going to be based around Christian McCaffrey and what he can do, and whoever McCaffrey's backup is that they'll put into the game, to give him a breather. But if we can shut down that zone run scheme and we can stop McCaffrey from gaining too many yards on the ground, we have a shot to win the game. If we don't, and we're getting blown off the ball, very similar to kind of Atlanta. Atlanta uses that similar zone run scheme. If it looks like that, we're probably going to be in for a long day.
Yeah. There's a such thing as effective defense, but still being conservative because McCaffrey has the ability to be a game breaker. We talk about that a lot with our running backs, right? We have good running backs, but we don't have game breakers out of the backfield. McCaffrey is every bit of that, period. Okay? He is a baller. They also have Ayuk. Ayuk gets so slept on because he's not as featured as he would be on other teams. He is a very good wide receiver in the NFL, okay? But they don't throw the ball a ton, so you're not going to see it materialize. But when they go to him, he can definitely make plays. All right, so I wanted to dive into Brock Purdy. And Eric, what's your sort of synopsis on Brock Purdy from what you've seen and observed of his play in this league?
Well, he's shown that he is capable of playing this league, but he has shown maybe that he can't do everything that a starting quarterback needs to do in this league. And I think you've got some advanced metrics that'll show that if you're going to get into those. I'm not going to spoil that for you, but this might surprise you guys, but I got off Twitter recently because as soon as that guy got in the field and everybody started talking about why we're not playing Sam Howell, let's make something perfectly clear. Brock Purdy is not playing because he beat anybody out. He's playing because the 49ers don't have anybody else to play. So This isn't like a Sam Howell argument. Okay. If Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke were both injured, Sam Howell would be playing. And I'm sure he would be doing fine. But Brock Purdy he's held it together. Obviously, he's 2-3-0 now as a starter. Had a great game against Tampa Bay. But they are very much protecting him in the offense. They're not making him do very much, and they're focusing on what he does well. So I'm hoping that with a couple of games under his belt now, there's a lot more film, and our defensive coaching staff can kind of see what he does well and maybe focus on taking that away, like making him throw right instead of left. That kind of thing could do very well. Taking away the short passing game, make him go over the top, preferably to the right. We'll see what they can do, but he very much seems to be like a Derek Zoolander, where he can't turn. Well, I guess the opposite. He can't turn right. Based on his what do they call that chart? The scatter thing. Anyway, so yeah, I think he's very capable of playing, but I think maybe similar to like a Mike White situation, where the more he plays, his production is going to dip a little bit each week, because he is a 7th round draft pick. That's a rookie, and he shouldn't really be in a perfect world would not be playing this year anyway. And I think the 49ers coaching staff and fans should agree with me there. But hopefully we've got enough film on him that we can take away what he does well and make him struggle a little bit more.
Yeah, he's house money at this point. Any positives they give is just house money, because nobody expects him to do anything. So about those metrics, look at his big time throws. He has one big time throw the entire time that he's been starting, and that's deep, a 20+ yard throw. He is a very safe passer. Very safe passer. And this goes to what Brian said about them protecting him in this offense, right?
I think one of the things that, I watched Brock Purdy at Iowa State. He's athletic. He can run, bootlegs, rollouts, all those things come natural to him throwing on the run. But when you have to, when you make him speed up his process where he has to go through progressions faster, make a decision, get the ball out, that's where he starts to get himself into trouble. He panics, makes bad decisions, throws it too early, too late, all those types of things. So, what Shanahan has done, by running the football, giving him some of these easier throws, he's slowed down the game for him. He's made it so that he has time when he does throw, even though he's not throwing that much. He has more time on the fewer attempts that he has. So really the Commanders, Jack Del Rio, Ron Rivera, really need to think about how they can speed up his internal clock and make him make decisions faster from the pocket, because the faster he makes those decisions, the more likely he'll make a mistake, and we can capitalize on that. But to your point, I mean, he certainly has his struggles throwing it across the field, and we've got to be able to capitalize on that. We can't let a 7th round rookie kind of dominate us.
Yeah, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. But look, the deal is 10 to 20 yards. That's where his turnover worthy plays come into place. So while he can be effective passing that zone, he's also going to give you some opportunities. Let's jump into his passing depth chart. And I'm going to bring that up. And if you're listening on the phone, we're going to give you a description of this as we're seeing here. So everybody watching, you should be able to see it now. So here's the deal. And this is what Eric was referencing. This kid passing to the left is a pretty good quarterback. Excuse me. I'll give you the numbers. Left, at or behind the line of scrimmage, 3 of 10 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Obviously, that's just passing to McCaffrey or the running backs. 0 to 10 yards, 7 to 13 for 35 yards, a touchdown, 85 rating. Then you get to 10 to 20, 3 of 4, 59 yards, 116.7 NFL rating. And then this is his money zone. Outside left, 3 of 3, 3 touchdowns. Every pass he's thrown deep outside left over 20 yards has been a touchdown. No drops, no incompletions. That's his money zone. He wants to, and this is coming off play action. I can guarantee you that. He's sucking the defense up, hitting you over the head, over the top, and that's money. Now, if you go to the deep middle, 20+ yards, 0 of 2, 39.6 NFL rating. He doesn't complete those passes. Outside right, over 20 yards, 0 attempts. He does not throw the ball deep right. Doesn't happen. He won't do it. In the middle of the field, 10 to 20 yards, 7 of 9, 125 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 116 rating. He can hit that ball over the middle, 10 to 20 yards. He will turn the ball over. He will have some turnover-worthy plays there. Now, outside right, 10 to 20 yards, 4 of 7, 72 yards, 1 interception. This kid is not good throwing the ball to the right, especially over 10 yards. There's some opportunities over there. And I think, Brian, you said Kendall Fuller would be on the left over those deep routes, correct?
Yep. Kendall Fuller would be on the left, and with Derek Forrest at free safety. If we all think back to the Monday night game against the Eagles, where Derek Forrest dropped back deep and helped get that interception on AJ Brown. That's what we're going to need here, because that appears to be where Brock Purdy feels most comfortable throwing. And Ellie, as you pointed out, the right side, he's scared of it because he's not very good. So JDR Rivera, it would be great if they could kind of bait him into something on the right hand side, because we know he's not good at it. And from the attempts here, it also looks like he tries to stay away from it as well. But that's something that we need to capitalize on. Maybe that's where Derek Forrest or Cam Curl can come up with a big play in those areas right there.
Yeah, and the thing is, if St. Juice doesn't play, I haven't checked the report on his status. The other side is Danny Johnson territory, and the Giants went right after Danny Johnson last game. And I would expect that the Niners do something similar to that when he's on the field. Now, will it be deep? It doesn't really look like it, just because of lack of attempts. All right, resuming the numbers, 0 to 10 yards. He is 15 to 21, 155 yards between the numbers. And that's George Kittle territory. We talked about that. Some of that's McCaffrey. Outside right, 8 of 12, 53 yards, 76 pass rating. Even short right, he's not that effective. So that gives us some obvious keys there of where we need to focus our attention. So all in all, Brock Purdy is a backup quarterback being asked to start in very difficult situations, and you got to give him credit for the work that he's done. This doesn't mean that he's Joe Montana, though, and I think he gets a lot of credit for being potentially better than what he actually is from a productivity perspective, but they will crush you with McCaffrey constantly. So that is certainly something we have to look out for. Eric, 3 ways to win, 3 ways to lose, please, sir.
Yeah, I've already kind of hit on them. You're going to win this game if you stay ahead of the chains. You're going to lose this game if you get predictable on offense. You're going to lose this game if you get cute, if you try to get creative. Scott Turner, I'm talking to you. Stop trying to be a genius. Do what works. Hammer the ball. You need to run the ball with Gibson and Robinson and sprinkle in some Williams. We need to make sure that we are pounding that rock, because that's going to help with point one. Stay ahead of the chain. We're going to lose this game. I already lost my train of thought. I'm trying to keep my voice straight. All right, we're going to lose this game if our defense cannot get off the field. Our defense has to figure out a way to stop Christian McCaffrey, and our defense has to put the game in Brock Purdy's on Brock Purdy. So we win this game if Brock Purdy is forced to throw more than 30 times. And finally, we're going to win this game with a big play on special teams or defense. We're going to have to get a defensive score or a huge play on special teams. I can't see this offense. I mean, this offense scores 20 points against crappy defenses. So if this offense is going to put up maybe 13 points, I mean, that's the best I can see us doing. So we've got to get a touchdown some other way, either with special teams or defense setting us up very close, or with just them taking it and scoring themselves. Basically, we got to get lucky, honestly.
All right, so check this out. I think we sort of looked at this game as a must-win now that we've lost to the Giants, right? I don't think that's the case in terms of playoff positioning, if you're a fan that cares about that. It's like this. The other team's got to win their games the rest of the season, too, or they're in the same boat as we are. So I still feel pretty decent about playoff chances. Even if we don't come out on top of this game, we're just going to need help. And that's just the reality of it. Now, Brian, give me your outcome, and I want a score prediction as well, please, sir.
The outcome is going to be ugly. This is not a game that, anybody wants to see at all. It's going to be 9-7 Commanders. The Commanders, they are fighting for their life. You've got to win these. You've got to. Because the math gets so much harder with each loss that piles up on you here at the end of the year. So You've got to win this game. I don't think that there's going to be an offensive explosion for us. I would love it if there was one, but I think this is 9-7. I think it's touchdown, field goals, that kind of thing, ugly stuff, and it's going to be a lot of running the football. We've got to keep the offense of the 49ers off the field. If we can do that, we've got a good chance because they have a very productive offense. Their ground game is awesome. And if we leave our defense out there for too long, they will get exposed, they will get gashed, and we'll give up big plays. So we can't have that happen. So we need the offense to really kind of come through and find those long drives that we had been, during the 6-1 win streak that we've been getting. So we've got to go back to that.
Did you say 9-7?
Yeah, I think that's all field goals. Sorry. All field goals.
Okay. So I just want to make sure our listeners and our viewers are clear. You're saying the 49ers are only going to score 9 points.
No. We're going to score 9. They're going to score 7.
Okay. All right.
Hey, it's Brock Purdy. It's Brock Purdy. He's not a Hall of Famer yet. We can't put him in there just yet. And if McCaffrey's going to be out there the entire game, I got to imagine they take him out at some point because why? You've got it wrapped up just so you could beat the Commanders. I just don't see him being out there that long.
Okay. Ooh, okay. That one caught me off guard, Brian, but you know what? You're the man.
He's their quarterback right now. McCaffrey is their quarterback. They don't have anything else on offense. It's him. And if he's not out there, I mean, they traded for him. They're going to protect him. And if this game is close and he's getting beat up, really hard for me to see them keep running him out there. So I think that bodes well for us.
Hey, man. I appreciate you. They've been on a little bit of a tear lately. I mean, they only scored 13 against the Saints, but before that, they had 33, 31, 22. They put up 35 on the Bucks. They had 21 on the Seahawks. So all right, I'm gonna roll with it because if you're right, hey, we're in a much better position come Monday or Sunday than what we are. And I remind everybody, listen, this game is actually on Saturday, so make sure you're aware of that. All right, Eric, man, what's your score and your prediction, sir?
Well, I was gonna make a homer pick, but Brian took care of that for us. So I'm going to be a realistic. I'm going to make a realistic pick, and I'm going to go 49ers 24, Commanders 12. 24-12, yeah. And I think we have a touchdown and 2 field goals, and Joey Slime misses an extra point because he does that every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I have here is this sheet that we went through for our playoff predictions, prognostication episode a couple episodes back, right? And we went through what everybody thought the Commanders were going to do. Eric, you predicted a win against the Giants and a loss against the Niners. Brian, you picked a win against everybody the rest of the season. So I appreciate your optimism. You're wrong so far, 0-for-1. And I predicted a loss against the Giants, and I predicted a loss against the 49ers. So far, I'm the only one with my record still intact. And not that that's a good thing because the Commanders lost, but I'm going to stick with what I predicted. I don't really think that this is a game that we're going to win. I'm going to be honest, and people might not like hearing it, but that's reality. This team is just so effective against us defensively, and offensively, we have been sputtering all season long. And this team does well what we do poorly on offense. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, they do well what we do poorly on offense. I don't like this matchup. You know what they say, styles make fights, right? Well, our style is not good for this fight, quite truthfully, in my opinion. So I'm going to say that the Niners and Brock Purdy and McCaffrey and Ayuk and Kittle put up 28 points. And our typical point total is usually 19. However, this team offensively seems to be getting a little bit worse over time. And what did we do last week? How many points did we score against the Giants, guys?
12.
Okay. I'm going to split the difference between that and our normal average, and I'm going to say we get 15 points. Okay. And we'll figure it out. But I don't think that we just don't have the firepower. We got the weapon, but we don't have the firepower in terms of a cohesive offensive attack to make that work.
I got a curveball for both of you. If you guys think that the game goes that way, that means it's going bad for the offense the whole game. And it's already been talked about this week. Ron, I think really a lot of this is all Ron's fault in terms of talking too much at these press conferences. But he's already said, hey, the potential for change is there at quarterback, and it could come as early as halftime of this game. Does if there is a change at halftime in this game at quarterback, does that change your outcomes of the game?
You mean when there's a change at halftime? No, I do think we'll see Wentz this week, and I don't think it'll matter. I mean, we've already seen the offense with Wentz; it's not any better. He's got a stronger arm, but that just means that he throws crappy passes harder. So, I mean, he hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked good when he's been in, save for like one or two throws, really. Did he really? Was there a game that he looked good outside of Jacksonville? Second half against Detroit when he was thrown all over the place. That's about it. He really didn't look good. And I don't see
Titans game,
but he had some good. He had some good moments, but he hasn't put together a good game really all season. Yeah. I don't expect that to change against the number one offense in the league coming cold off the bench. So no, I don't think. I think we will see him. I don't think it's going to matter.
I don't want to see him this week. I don't want to. I just look. Heineke is going to play, and we don't project this to go well. But I think just let it finish. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're going to make a decision about your quarterback, do it the next week. I just don't see the benefit of switching at halftime to try to get a spark for a game that you're probably not expecting to win. Because what are you going to do? Is he going to bring us back from being down 2 touchdowns at halftime or something like that? The evidence just is not there to support that. So then I just don't want you to make any rash decisions. And then when you start benching guys at halftime, that's kind of the end of that whole Heineke thing, right? At least, he goes permanently back into a backup, position. So I think you're better just to save face and then make some decisions and let cooler heads prevail and then figure out how you want to approach it. But the way you want to approach it after this game, because you're still going to have playoff options, you better make sure you're making the right decision, whatever that is. So I don't want to see it at halftime, Brian.
Just wanted to see if that changed the outcome, because that's a very real possibility of what could happen on Sunday, is that we see a quarterback change, because this is the second time now that Wentz will be healthy, active as the backup. So I think Ron is itching to use him, however it may be. And in that Titans game, for all those touchdowns, we only scored 17 points. So the whole offense needs to be better. And I think, let me ask you guys this. I was thinking about this. Have we had one quarterback in these past 3 years now under Scott Turner that's actually played well, like somebody who's gotten the offense? Like we keep saying Taylor Heineke, he's been in the offense for 30 years. He knows how to do it. But I mean, that doesn't really help him. It's more so him just kind of playing backyard football, and he's able to create something out of it. But has any of these quarterbacks, and I know they're not all great talents, but have any of them looked good, or maybe could have looked better?
I mean, Alex Smith was okay on one leg.
On one leg.
I mean, I liked Alex Smith a lot.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people didn't before he got injured. I really liked what he was doing. It was a little frustrating to watch at times because he was just a dink and dunk guy. But I mean, it was great. We were winning with him. He was 11-5 here as a starter, and that includes games under Scott Turner. So he had some success. He's probably the best quarterback we've had, even on one leg. He was probably better than anybody else that we've had this whole time. And Heineke, you said it. He plays backyard football. It's fun to watch. It's frustrating sometimes, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. The quarterback position has not been successful in this offense ever, and that needs to change. Period. All right, we're gonna get out of here, but before we do, I want to get your players that are going to make all the difference this week. Brian, kick us off. Which player do you think is going to make all of the difference this week?
The player that's going to make the difference is Cam Curl. I think he has been very solid throughout the entire year, but he hasn't had a big play, difference-making play, and I think this is the game where it happens. I think Eric was right. We're going to need a defensive type score, big turnover, some kind of momentum-changing thing to help this offense. And I think Cam Curl, who hopefully our secondary, everybody will be playing closer up to the line of scrimmage and to some of these receivers. And I hope Cam Curl can create some kind of turnover, big play, maybe pick six, fumble, return for touchdown, something like that. Because he did have one in his rookie year against San Fran. So I'm hoping for a little bit of that magic.
Okay. I'll take it. Eric, who's yours?
This is a tough one. I'm going to go actually with the other spot. I'm going to go Derek Forrest. I think Derek Forrest is a guy who can have a big game. He's the type of ball hawk that might be able to make Purdy pay for some of the throws that he may be getting comfortable making that he shouldn't throw. So I would like to see him have a big game. I would like to point out that I did pick Jahan Dotson last week, and daggone if I wasn't right. So let's keep that streak going. I say Derek Forrest has a big game this week.
I am going to go other side of the football. Give me Montez Sweat. Montez
Same
Sweat.
side of the football, by the way.
You're right.
Is he playing tight end this
I
week?
got hung up on your Dotson comment. You are 100% correct. Same
He's
side
playing
of
tight
the
end this
football.
week. It's okay.
It has been a long week. Montez Sweat, he's going to have 3 sacks. Wait a minute. He's going to be going up against Trent Williams.
Yeah, he's going to make Trent Williams his biatch.
I take that.
What are you saying, man?
I take that back.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Kendall Fuller. There you go. He's going to shut down that deep left stuff that we talked about. Kendall Fuller is going to ball out and make Brock Purdy cry on Christmas Eve.
Wait, does Chase play?
Doesn't matter. No, I don't know.
He's gonna if he plays, he's gonna get like 5 snaps.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
I think.
This year is a wash for him. Just shut him down at this point.
Agreed.
Yep. All right. If you have made it this far, please subscribe. Tell your friends to tell a friend. Go to DraftKings. Use our promo code CDP11. Get you a little extra something for your betting. You know what I'm saying? And go make it happen. Everybody, we hope you have a tremendous holiday with your family, with your peeps, or with yourself, whatever you're doing. Make sure you stay warm. Winter weather is coming. Enjoy the football, and we'll be back next week. Peace.